Genji is one of the most mobile heroes in Overwatch and a powerful force on the battlefield. And I'm going to tell you everything you need to know to dominate as Genji and deal with the threats that come your way.
Eliminate the target.
The youngest of the Shimada brothers uses a combination of shurikens and sword to clear the battlefield. He always tosses 3 shurikens at a time in either a perfectly straight line or in a horizontal cone using alternate fire. However, his DPS is not equal between the 2 fire modes. For precise, long range, he can fire 3 shurikens per second using primary fire. However, his alt fire is substantially faster. Due to the spread of the shurikens, Genji will need to get in close to ensure all 3 of them land in the enemy. Enemies with larger hitboxes like D.Va, Roadhog, Bastion, Winston, and Reinhardt can be excellent targets for his cone fire. Using his newly acquired cybernetic implants allows the ability to avoid danger and to get in to deal max damage. He can jump in one direction and then jump again mid-air in another direction to easily confuse and frustrate the opposing team. Tossing shurikens whilst in the air is an essential skill to win many one-on-one engagements. Like his brother, Genji can also utilize wall climbing by holding the jump key after a jump. Combining this with his other movement abilities allows essential flanking strategies to open up. Due to these 2 abilities, it may be best to go lone wolf and pick off single heroes from the rear such as snipers or support heroes. A useful trick is double jumping towards a wall and then jumping back off for a triple jump. This is also useful for dodging attacks and clearing large distance. He also matches Tracer for top normal running speed at 6 meters per second, which is slightly above the rest of the cast. As a ninja, he's also skilled in using a katana whilst on the move. His swift strike causes him to dash forward in the direction he's facing, slicing an opponent in a line. This can be done in any direction and whilst in the air, but it gets even better. If Genji causes a kill with swift strike, the cooldown on the ability gets removed, allowing him to swift strike again immediately. His augmented speed is one of his most impressive traits, as seen in his ability to deflect enemy fire. For 2 seconds, any projectile or hit scan weapon that hits him in the front can be returned towards the direction the player is aiming. Point the reticle towards an attacking opponent with one of these weapons, and they will receive all of the damage they sent towards you in the first place. This is especially useful for those moments the hero gets the jump on a Bastion player, and even just seeing a Bastion could be the sole reason for switching to Genji. Countering Widowmaker can be equally delicious using this skill, but the best moments are when ultimates are deflected. Hanzo's Dragon, Zarya's Graviton Surge, and even Mei's Blizzard can be reflected back onto the enemy along with many others. Similar to other heroes, his melee attack deals standard damage. However, once Genji charges up his ultimate, the Dragon Blade, the real carnage begins. Pulling out his katana, each sword swing deals a ton of damage and can be used once per second for 8 seconds. During startup, it instantly restores the swift strike ability, and combining it with double jumps and deflect can create a real nightmare for the opposing team, especially since it hits several meters in front of him.
Fall back.
Unbuffed Genji has a fairly standard 200 health, and due to his extreme mobility, will require excellent awareness when it comes to the map and enemy positions. The ninja is a bit more vulnerable if his abilities are on cooldown, as he often finds himself behind enemy lines. Mid-range is Genji's sweet spot, as he will have a difficult time dealing any consistent damage at long range to moving targets. He's generally known to be one of the more difficult heroes to excel with without dedicated practice and experience. This becomes more widely apparent when using Swift Strike specifically. Practice target reacquisition after a dash until it becomes second nature. Newer players may be tempted to dash in to disrupt a group of enemies, but we recommend the exact opposite. Save Swift Strike for both weakened targets and as an escape tool. Remember, it's going to take another 8 seconds to use his dash if it's used on an enemy that does not die. As awesome as his deflect is, it is completely useless against beam and melee weapons. The primary fire of Zarya, Symmetra, Winston, Reinhardt, and Mei cannot be deflected, and McCree, he can use a flashbang on the ground or above Genji's head to stun him. Pharah can also be a threat as she's hard to hit at range and tough to close the gap on. The Dragon Blade makes it impossible to toss shurikens for range damage, so make sure to position him near the enemy but just out of sight right before activation. Unsheathing and resheathing the sword leaves him briefly vulnerable, but you can avoid the stowing animation by running up a small ledge or using Swift Strike just as the ultimate is about to end. Unfortunately, Genji is just as vulnerable as he always is during those 8 seconds of sword slashing, and a well-placed deflect can save your life.
I am ready.
Staying alive as Genji requires constant movement. Confuse and frustrate the opponent, then pause right in front to bait them. Often, the opponent can be trained in this way to look for an opportunity to finally land a hit, and will take the chance that Genji won't use his deflect in that moment. Attacking from different angles is key, and unpredictability is the goal. A top Genji player will utilize his animation cancelling ability to deal insane damage very quickly. When in melee range, use his Cone Fire, standard melee attack, then dash strike all in rapid succession, or from range, you can dash in close, Cone Fire, and melee for a quick kill on a weakened target. At the end of King's Row, it is possible to double jump and Swift Strike to travel underneath the map to the other side. There is also a way to do similar flanks on Volskaya Industries and other maps. Attempt to bait skills like Roadhog's Hook or Hanzo Scatter Arrow before fully committing to the fight. If things aren't going your way, it's honestly better to just run and re-engage under your own terms. Genji is one of those heroes that benefits from a lot of practice, so I want to know what tips you have to share in the comments below. As always, this is Dash for Cursing. Thanks for watching and enjoy the game.